The Isha Upanishad, translated by Hume. By the Lord, enveloped must all this be, whatever moving thing there is in the moving world. With this renounced, thou mayest enjoy. Covet not the wealth of anyone at all. Even while doing deeds here, one may desire to live 100 years. Thus on thee, not otherwise than this, is it. The deed adheres not on the man. Devilish or sunless are those worlds called, with blind darkness covered over. Unto them on deceasing go, whatever folk are slayers of the self. Unmoving, the one is swifter than the mind. The sense powers reach not it, speeding on before. Past others running, this goes standing. In it, Mātariśvan places action. It moves not. It is far, and it is near. It is within all this, and it is outside of all this. Now he on whom all beings looks just as in the self, and on the self as in all beings. He does not shrink away from him, in whom all beings have become just the self of the discerner. Then what delusion, what sorrow is there of him who perceives the unity? He has environed the bright, the bodiless, the scatheless, the sinewless, the pure, unpierced by evil, wise, intelligent, encompassing, self-existent. Appropriately he distributed objects through the eternal years. Into blind darkness enter they that worship ignorance. Into darkness greater than that, as it were, they that delight in knowledge. Other indeed, they say, than knowledge. Other, they say, than non-knowledge. Thus we have heard from the wise, who to us have explained it. Knowledge and non-knowledge. He who thus pair jointly knows, with non-knowledge passes over death, with knowledge wins the eternal. Into blind darkness enter they who worship non-becoming. Into darkness greater than that, as it were, they who delight in becoming. Other indeed, they say, than origin. Other, they say, than non-origin. Thus we have heard from the wise, who to us have explained it. Becoming and destruction. He who this pair conjointly knows, with destruction passing over death, with becoming, wins the immortal. With a golden vessel, the real's face is covered over. That do thou, O Pushan, uncover for one whose law is the real, to see. O nourisher, O the soul seer, O controller, O sun, offspringer of Prajapati, spread forth thy rays, gather thy brilliance. What is thy fairest form? That of thee I see. He who is yonder person, Purusha, I myself am he. My breath to the immortal wind, this body then ends in ashes. O purpose, remember, the deed remember, O purpose, remember, the deed remember. O Agni, by a goodly path to prosperity, lead us. Thou God who knowest all the ways, keep far from us the crooked going sin. Most ample expression of adoration to thee would we render. So unto the heart of these many contemplations, from the Vedas and throughout, the exercise of the dimension of that exclusive and original reality, that lordship, that possession, is one with the truth and fullest expression at the heart of things. And so every manifestation, every instance has to be clothed, has to be inhabited, has to be brought unto the universal continent and inclusive full dimension of truth and witness of all. And this call resounds to the essence, integration, confrontation, communion at the heart of all things enlightened, and gives the reconciliation and resolution in continent truth of dimensions that assume the full scope and scale of relation. So throughout the most inspired and riveting wisdom and passage in the Vedas, it is light to itself, light to the purpose and purity of communion, and yet is black as the mantle of night to the back of all things. So drawing to uninterrupted being and peace, beyond the appearance of energy and cause. Both of these resolutions of, you could say, the essential way, are integrated and awoken unto in this most pregnant and pointed illumination and meditation of reality. So orienting ourselves in this, by the Lord, the ruling truth and principle, enveloped must all this be, whatever is in transition, whatever moving thing there is, in the whole movement of the entire of the moving world. With these parts and appearances renounced, thou mayest enjoy. Covet not the wealth of any one at all. Even while doing deeds here, one may desire to live 100 years. Thus on thee, not otherwise than this is it, the deed, the transient dimensions, and here not on the essential truth, and adheres not on the man. So sometimes I've seen it's been translated as devilish, or other times as sunless. But in this full meditation where the communion of both the energy in its consonant cause and our correct relation to them is being worked out and resolved. Sunless, I think, is probably a more appropriate translation that is used by Aurobindo. Are those, and it's made note of in the footnote here too as well. Sunless are those worlds called, with blind darkness covered over. Unto them deceasing go, whatever folk are slayers of the self. Whoever put to darkness, Shankara says, covering with ignorance and false association, this truth of this illimitable presence of reality. And how do they come to death? How do they lose the energy and truth and consonant communion of cause of this reality? They lose it because, not realizing it for what it is, they fail to see that this one, the unmoving, the one, is swifter than all the possible activity of the mind, swifter than all the divine capacities of senses. Nothing reaches it, it speeds on before all, because it is the essence and source and inclusion and truth of being. Past others running, outspeeding them, this goes standing. So, the twin dimensions, the navel knot, the pivot, the foci, and all the dimensions that commune unto it, it goes past all, being the competent cause of generation in the ingenerable self. And in this transition is born action. And so it exceeds narrow associations of ephemeral concepts when put to partial use. So it moves. It is that which is the motive cause of all, and yet in itself, in its full continent truth, it moves not. It is far, it is beyond the horizon of happenings, exceeding them wide beyond their limit, and yet it is near. It is the full continent self-reality at the witness soul and communion of all, more everything than it is even in its moment itself. It is within all this, and it is outside of all this. Now he on who on all beings looks as just in the self. So the relation to the functioning of all things, looking as unto the relation unto the fulfilled nature of yourself, and as that self being the reality in all beings, he, in this way of proceeding, does not shrink from the ruling and supernal principle, this essential and continent cause in the heart of all reality, in whom all beings have become just the self of the discerner. Then what delusion, what sorrow is there of him who perceives the unity? So, in other Upanishads, it sends out and gathers in. It gives the energy, and it gives the energy's purpose. So he who gives to the full communion, to the fulfilled orientation, this witness and guide and presence of cause, he becomes inalienably awoken to the unalienated truth at the essence of things, which gives him occasion, dimension, truth of orientation, continent self-realization, to the soul and full engagement of the truth of this witness's reality. For this uncaused cause of soul and witness and presence and perfection, he has environed the bright, the bodiless, the scatheless, the sinewless, the pure, unpierced by evil, wise, intelligent, encompassing, self-existent. And appropriately, he distributed objects through the eternal years, through the timeless time. Into blind darkness enter they that worship ignorance. Those who do not allow relation to the ruling principle to govern them, they fall into darkness, but into darkness greater than that, as it were, they that delight in knowledge, they that are vain, petty professors and wordmongers, sophists and Pharisees, they that steal the word from out of the mouth to lose its meaning. Other indeed, they say, than knowledge. So it's more than the contents of immediate awareness and existence. Other, they say, than non-knowledge, and it is beyond the unknown. Thus we have heard from the wise, who to us have explained it. So it's obviously relating to the tradition that comes down from the essence and inspiring soul, which it's calling to and trying to ground unto in its own way from the Vedas. Knowledge and non-knowledge, he who this pair conjointly knows, with non-knowledge passing over death, with knowledge wins the immortal. So here, in the tradition that has a reflection in China with Tao, then the pivotal happenings, the effortless aspect of nature that does all things by doing nothing, here with not doing, with not promoting immediate agency, with not having accidental predominance or engagement, we pass over the mortal dimensions of those interactions happenings, and yet with knowledge, with the full dimension of our awareness and communion in this continent cause, we win unto the ingenerable reality and truth, and witness of the fulfilled being of our nature and all combining. Into blind darkness enter they who worship non-becoming, of those who do not allow anything to become. Into darkness greater than that, as it were, they who delight in becoming, those who pursue after the many of things. Other indeed, they say, than origin. Other, they say, than non-origin. So this continent reality that gathers up the rays, that gathers up all these dimensions of illumination to this sun's world, this sun's reality, that always lives in the heart nature of the sun, in the ever-living fire, of the participation of the uncreate to the heart and soul of animating creation, resolves all these dimensions of aspects that are here meditated. Thus we have heard from the wise, who to us have explained it. Becoming and destruction. He who this pair conjointly knows, with destruction passing over death, with becoming wins the immortal. Dying to death, and winning to life immortal. Losing association with mediate aspects, becoming dead to them, you, with becoming, allow the continent cause to give its own arena, communion, soul, and expression of full reality. And so reconciling this, the energy that is of the illuminant, coming to itself, even draws past and reconciles the transitions of its own illumination. With a golden vessel, with a golden lid, the real's face is covered over. That do thou, Pushan, uncover, for one whose law is the real to see. So being guided by the only constant truth and presence of cause, of this reality, whose law is the real, this inhabitation and source draws back its golden lid, gives the continent completeness, the fulfillment of the transition to its nature and being and comprising in ourselves. O nourisher, the sole seer, O controller, O sun, offspring of Prajapati, spread forth thy rays. Do not diminish in thy nature, but also gather thy brilliance. What is thy pure, fairest form? This indescribable communion of continent perfection that does not leave the ungenerable full nature of its truth through all the dimensions of its essence. That I see. He who is yonder person, the culminating of all those thoughts and communions of enfolded existence. Purusha. I myself am he. The essential nature of our being is one with that, fulfilling our undivided association of complete and continent forming. My breath, the essence of my life, to this immortal wind, to this motivating atmosphere. This body, the transient aspects of manifest transition, ends in ashes, and the eternal shows through. So the meaning, the purpose, remember. The full dimension of the deed, the action, remember. The meaning, the purpose, remember. And the deed, the engagement of it in its full expression, remember.